PHCC, what is it and why is it something that you may want to get in? I believe in organizations and training. I think that's how we get better. So I actually have a special guest with me today, the president of PHCC, Hunter Botto. And it's really neat because we both spoke at the Plumbers Rally in Austin trying to fight for our plumbing license. Now, PHCC does things like that, but there's a lot more to it than just fighting for licenses. They're actually in training and education. Hunter, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing awesome, Roger, and it's good to see you. And that was an awesome time talking in front of 6,000, 7,000 plumbers. It was just, it rocked my world.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that is the first time I've spoken in front of that many plumbers. It kind of did the same for me, but to get up there and see the way plumbers are willing to fight for their license and show up like that was a neat deal.
I remember walking through the crowds before the event started, and I was talking to the families that were there, you know, the wives, the kids. There was so many people there, and plumbers and supporters. And again, it was such an awesome experience, and I'll never forget it.
I'm kind of like you. I enjoyed it. It was neat to see the families, like you said, the support behind them. And I hung around probably an hour and a half afterwards, shook hands, took pictures, visited with people. It was wonderful. PHCC is a national organization. They do a lot for plumbers and HVAC people. What is PHCC and why should plumbers and HVAC technicians really need to know about it?
The purpose of PHCC is dedicated to the advancement, education of the plumbing, heating, cooling industry for health, safety, and the comfort of society and the protection of environment. It says so much about who we are and what we do, especially after the last few years, or the last year with COVID. We're the ones that stepped to the plate and made sure that we're protecting our environment and we're protecting society. So, you know, the organization's been around for over 140 years. We're very proud of the contributions our professional contractors have made, obviously for the betterment of society. You know, as a premier organization for the PHCC professional, we provide a lot of legislative advocacy and education and training to, 3,500 plumbing and HVAC open shops and union businesses, and probably cover about 75,000 technicians. So we're the big guys on the block when it comes to plumbing and HVAC. You know, these guys and women and, everybody else under our umbrella work in the residential and the commercial, new construction, industrial, service and repair, and just all segments of what our construction industry is.
Now, you say residential and commercial. The training that PHCC offers, what kind of training do they do? Do they do commercial and residential to the same people? Or can I send a plumber over there and say, I'd like him to be trained in residential or residential service or residential new construction? How do y'all define that infinity out, or how do y'all break it out? And what kind of training do y'all do? Is it all across the board, or do you take one person in and train him for everything plumbing?
You know, we have so many different courses that we teach, and we listen to our members and we listen to what they ask for. So not only are we teaching apprentices, we're teaching business, we're teaching, environmental issues that we affect, the industry with. Basically, our educational foundation offers a number of resources. We have free workforce readiness courses for individuals that want an introduction to the plumbing, heating, cooling industry. The foundation, which is an enormous part of us, also has a complete 4-year series of plumbing and HVACR textbooks, software, instructional materials that can be used for both in-person and online training. The Foundation's apprenticeship program is recognized by the DOL for related technical instruction. Just in fact, over the last year, we've seen our enrollment of our online apprenticeship course double to more than 3,000 students across the United States. So we're covering every portion, of the apprenticeship curriculum. So it's something that we're very proud of, and obviously we're involved in the career development resources. So we're here to teach the business owners business, and that's a new program that we're coming up with, which we're calling a boot camp, and that's going to be put out in the next few months.
I like that. And Look, business owners, and it's funny because one of my first coaches, consultants was Michael Gerber, and he wrote the E-Myth books, and I hired him for about 6 months to work with him. And the really cool thing about it, the neat thing about hiring him and bringing him in is whenever we first talked, he said that doctors, lawyers, plumbers, we all either go to college or go to trade school, we get a career, we learn how to do it, but we are never taught how to run a business. We are never taught entrepreneurship. And I think that that's amazing that PHCC has classes, has training and things like that. I think that's phenomenal. What does it take for someone as either a company owner or maybe just an apprentice? I get messages from apprentices all the time that want to get into the trades. How would they go about finding a company that either is involved with PHCC and can help put them through a training program? I used to be an instructor in the union, so I understand the value of education and training. I think it's phenomenal that PHCC does it for everybody, union and non-union. I actually showed up at the conference in Milwaukee, 2 or 3 years ago. The apprentice competition blew my mind. I've seen it in the union. Now I've seen it at PHCC. And I got to tell you, I think PHCC is an amazing organization. How can people get involved with it?
Well, the key is, we're kind of a 3-tier organization. We have our locals, we have our state organizations, and obviously we have our national organization, and we support each other all across that spectrum. So, obviously as a student coming out of high school, you're going to have to find the local PHCC local association and start asking questions. I can tell you, if you even ask to go to a meeting, that would be more awesome, because these business owners and plumbers want to teach. This is such an important part of our industry, is keeping it going and bringing in the younger people. With the high cost of college today, tuition being what it is, even though everything's going virtual these days, a job in the trade looks better and better to a lot of young people. And they can make a comfortable living. I'm a kind of a living proof of what PHCC did for me. I came out of school after the Navy and went to an educational course and learned plumbing in New York City at a place called Mechanics Institute. But back then, it was very limited. So PHCC really has just evolved with the Educational Foundation. We give away 6 figures in scholarships each year that students are thinking about the trades. So we're covering all the ends. Our industry partners just rock. They're supporting us. They're doing a lot of training themselves. We also have foreman training. We have project management training. I mean, we are the training gurus in the plumbing and HVAC industry. So the best way to do it is contact the local association. If you can't get a hold of a local association, you're going to find a state association. And if you can't, you go to our national office in Falls Church. They will help you. And if nobody can help you, which I doubt very highly, you can call me and I'll help you.
I love that. I love that. And look, I love the fact that education is one of the front and foremost things that we need to be talking about in the trades. And I'm like you, going to college is great, but every kid is not going to go to college. Every kid who doesn't go to college has been told, all his life, hey, if you don't go to college, you're not going to amount to anything. And I love hearing that, because I think it's one of the biggest jokes I've heard. Through training and education, like you said, construction management, foreman training, business owner training, the information is out there for people to get. And it's really funny because when I started my business, I had been in the union for 25 years. I worked 17 years open shop before that. And I started my company and I knew nothing about business. I didn't know how to run a business. So I love the fact that PHCC teaches that, trains on that. But what I like better is the fact that, I went down and fought for our license 2 years ago. You're aware of all that. But literally some of the people that are helping making decisions for our industry have no idea what's going on in our industry. So to have a good training center, and this is something that I talked to some of the senators and representatives about, the neat thing about it is PHCC is all across the country. It's open to everybody. And really, with as many people getting out of the trades these days and less people getting in, a good formal education in the trades can be very valuable here in the near future. I think it's it's going to be the next big thing. What do you think about that?
We're as plumbers, and again, I've been a plumber all my life since I'm 12. So our jobs will never go away. Period. They're not going to be taken over by robots. They're not going to be taken over by a computer or anybody else. This is going to be with us forever. And obviously it's been, since I can't tell you what year it started, but it was a long, long, long time ago before you and I. I would have to say that college is a great thing, but technical school is better. I think it's a better path because our industry will never be taken over again by computers. This is a longevity type of job. Look at how many people start off young, go through their entire careers. And like me, I'm semi-retired, and there are a lot of opportunities. Just one note with that, Roger, I remember when I first came out of the Navy and I was doing my apprenticeship and going to school at night. I actually had to run a business. My father retired at an early age, so I was sitting behind a big desk at 28 years old. I was a good plumber, and I knew nothing about business. And one day, one of my competitors came up to me and knew that I was struggling after probably 5-8 years of not making a profit and just not knowing what I was doing because I was never taught business, and started going to meetings and started meeting my competitors. And, those competitors became very good friends of mine. And actually to this day, they're some of my closest brothers and have helped me and I helped them. And we have such a great networking experience with the plumbers up on Long Island. So again, the meetings with the networking is starting to come back to fold. We've obviously been doing a lot of this virtually, but where we can follow the CDC regulations, we are doing that. And Roger, I can't say it enough how many opportunities are out there for young people to come into this business.
I think you're right. And it's funny, you mentioned robots. I got into the trades because I was 16. I was managing a restaurant. There's a little hamburger place here in Garland. And one of my best friends, him and I were working together one night, and it was, getting late, and we hadn't started cleaning yet. Things were going slow. And he looks at me, he says, "Man, are you going to do this forever?" And I said, "Man, I'm 16 years old. I'm managing a restaurant. Life is good." And he said, "If you get fired or you quit, who's going to hire a 16-year-old restaurant manager?" And it really struck me as funny. But we talked about his 3 older brothers who were all plumbers and his father who was a plumber. And his father was actually the chief plumbing inspector here in Dallas one year, or for a while, longer than a year. But it's really funny because when we talked about it that night, I'm like, "Man, what makes you think plumbing is, that big a deal?" He says, "Well, look, my brothers love it." He says, "And robots will never be able to take it over." Yeah. And, it's funny because that's the way we thought back then. And yep. I like the way you said this too. It's never going to be able to be done all on computers. The opportunities are still there for so many young people, and not just young people. I have people messaging me all the time, "Hey, I'm 45. Is it too late to get in the trades?" Absolutely not. I had an apprentice with the union that was 55 years old. So not going to say what's too old or too young, but it's different for everybody.
It's funny, young people just don't know enough about the industry. So we need to be continuing to talk to students, Boy Scouts, guidance counselors, parents. One of the big hooks that we see is tell them what a great living they can earn in this industry. It's hard work, but if you work hard and you do well, that pays off. It pays off big time. So again, we're reaching out as PHCC to try and find those young people, out there. And again, I did it too many years ago, put an ad in the paper, said we will train. And I was getting the guys off of Wall Street, showing up when Wall Street was taking its hits. They always wanted to do things with their hands. Pretty interesting to see that. But just know we need to bring in younger and diverse industry voices and show them the benefits of PHCC. And believe me, it's out there, and we'll let you know how to work it.
Now, one thing y'all got going right now, y'all got a program going on, and I saw this written here recently, where y'all are going to recruit or bring in and train 75, or you've made a commitment to train 75,000 people in the trades over the next 5 years. And I think that's phenomenal. And I'm involved with organizations that deal with plumbers, HVAC technicians, electricians, roofers, and through my social media, I have people communicate with me in all different trades. But the big thing to me is bringing in 75,000 people into the plumbing and HVAC industry over the next 5 years. That's a big deal. And I tell people that with supply and demand, I think we've got about one person getting in for every 5 getting out right now. So supply and demand is going to keep going up. And I tell people, I think plumbers will be making $100 an hour in the next 5 years. I think it's going to get up where it's that crazy just because of supply and demand. What are y'all doing to bring people in, and what made y'all come up with that idea? I think it's phenomenal. And when I read that, I thought, okay, this is really neat.
You know, it was such an awesome experience for myself. I just wish my parents were around to see it. I was walking into the White House, you know, with I think 30 PHCC members going into, I think it was Richard Nixon's old office down on one of the lower levels. And, you know, there we were as plumbers, you know, at the highest, you know, the most important building in Washington, D.C. was the White House, where we obviously, like you said, committed to train those 75,000 plumbers and HVAC technicians. So we're working with the 30 state chapters that we have, make it a reality, and a result, develop skilled professionals who do have quality jobs and provide needed services to protect the health, safety, and the environment. But, you know, it's pretty interesting these days, especially with COVID. You know, a lot of people are tied up in or closed into their houses. So they're realizing, you know, instead of having a job, going to work every day and then coming back, now they're living inside their houses 24/7, and they're starting to realize, hey, yeah, that water heater's tired, or that faucet's dripping, and, you know, that toilet's leaking. And you know, we saw this big influx of work, whether it's on the renovation side, the HVAC side, or even the plumbing side. And all our PHCC contractors are slammed with work right now. And again, it's a bad thing, but it's a good thing. So it's really taken off and made people more aware of how important plumbing and comfort is, and obviously things like air quality and things like that.
Everything we deal with. I love that. Now, I got one more question for you, and it's because of a mentor of mine. He came down and spoke with us, and I love the fact that PHCC works with open shop and union contractors. I think that's phenomenal. But Robert Melko came down and spoke right after I opened my own company. And it's funny because he was actually headed, I believe, to a national conference the next day. But Robert Melko spoke very highly of QSC and said, look, the things that we get there are phenomenal, and they help teach the business owners how to do things better. What can you tell me about QSC and why it's such a big deal for PHCC?
You know, I've always looked at, especially since I've been involved for 20-something years here, 23 years, QSC is a separate organization, but inclusive with PHCC. So it's like a big concern with service and repair. So, you know, they focus on customer service, training their technicians with some awesome programs. You know, and so QSC is, I call them the cream of the crop. They are a separate peer group, but, you know, we have a few peer groups within PHCC. Obviously, QSC is our service and repair peer group. We have CCA, which is the contractors, construction contractors. Then we have the UAC, which are generally the signatory contractors. So again, we're diverse and covering everybody's concerns, and different companies do different things. You know, you have new construction contractors, you have service and repair contractors, you have the union contractors, you know, and we have, you know, the QSC. So we're covering all aspects of the plumbing and the HVAC business, and covering it with training, covering it with support, covering with networking. All these parts that we have within our under our umbrella caters to each individual company that is looking for specific training. And again, the QSC is, you know, just the cream of the crop. You know, those guys really are awesome business leaders, and we really enjoy what they do and how they do it. And we all learn from them. You know, it's not like you're in a separate club. You know, we all, you know, either meet or converse or do virtual meetings across the board. So we know what everybody is doing on the other side of the fence, if you want to speak it. And sometimes our contractors will cross over into those parts.
You know, I respect PHCC and what they do. I think the training is phenomenal. I talk about that on a regular basis. How can business owners or people that want to get into the trades and possibly learn plumbing or HVAC, how can they get in touch with you or PHCC to find out how to move on to the next step?
A couple of different ways we could do it. You know, obviously, again, looking on the local level. But one thing I just got to say before we get too far ahead of ourselves is it's the business owners that need to be involved. So growing our membership and getting members involved is a big goal for my year in office. You know, the organization just offers so much to its members. And when we do that, those members can offer so much more to their employees. So it's just, you know, again, it's a multi-tier process, but get involved locally, you know, from a one-person shop to, you know, we have shops that are 200, 300, 400 technician shops all across the United States. So it's a matter of stepping out of your comfort zone and asking questions, and ask the questions starting at the local level.
I like that. Hunter, thank you very much for being here today. I really do appreciate it. And, you know, hats off to PHCC for really reaching out and trying to bring 75,000 people into training through plumbing and HVAC over the next 5 years. I think that's phenomenal.
It is. And obviously, you know, when we say we're going to do something, we get it done. And that's what PHCC does. And along with protecting our licensing, which is a big thing, as you know, what we did in Texas. But those issues are happening all across the United States. So we're everywhere doing that. And we're also on the Hill, you know, taking care of the regulations that hinder our business or help our business. So again, this is a great family that I belong to, and it's really been the best part of my plumbing career. Now that I'm close to the retirement, this is the reason why I'm here, and I do love this association and all it's done for an industry. But we're not done yet. That's why we need the new people and younger people to get involved.
Good. I like it. Thank you very much for being here today.
All right. Thank you very much, Roger. Be well, be safe, and we'll see you again and we'll talk.
So PHCC organizations, you hear me talk all the time about training, about learning more. I get up every morning and study new tools, new technique, new technology. What are you doing? And are you involved with an organization? And if not, why not? PHCC is a great place to come in and learn how to run a business, how to train your technicians. And think about it. If you're trusting the apprentices you hire to be trained by a journeyman that you don't know how well he's training them, there are other ways out there. Anyway, do me a favor, leave me a comment down below and let me know, what do you think about the PHCC, about the UA? Are you involved in any organizations? What kind of training do you do for you as a business owner or you as a journeyman? And those of y'all that are wanting to open your own company one day, have you thought about joining anything like this to help you grow your business? I hope so. I'm Roger Wakefield, Lead AP, the expert plumber. I'll see you in the next video if you don't get flushed.